damage to your indestructible creature, give it lifelink, get 3 of that 4 points you paid back.
Swing with the Dano Vanguard. Now, Hunter did have a cast down, which Vanguard protects against.
Moment of craving.
Yeah, the cast down's in his hand.
Yeah.
So he had Moment as well.
Right. That's the big one.
And now we see that main deck Thief of Sanity. We'll see how it can convert. Kyle missed his 3rd land drop.
Yeah,
Vanguard will swing in.
Going to be a problem. You know, Krot's not interested in blocks there. There is Lightning Strike on the Thief of Sanity. That's a nice win. I was kind of looking at Palmer's build. He only is playing 1 creature that dies to cast down. The Donald Vanguard can gain Indestructible. He plays Knight of Grace. It's really just these 4 Resplendent Angels that are actually vulnerable to cast down, which I do like about his configuration.
Karn's going to draw Hunter into a land. Silver counter on a 2nd copy of Thief of Sanity. Vanguard attacking at Karn. And looks like he did pump. So Karn down to 3. Kyle paying 4 life.
I don't think the Vanguard's even a trigger.
Oh, it's not
It's just a static ability that says when it's attacking, it gets +2/+0.
Yeah, so it's down to 3. Right, the pump, the 4 life is indestructible.
I don't even think the game allows you to miss that happening.
Okay. So Karn is down to 3. Yeah, you're right. So History of Benalia, though, the follow-up.
And Dino Vanguard is a Vampire Knight, I do believe. Couple vampires are knights. That was a interesting element of Ixalan.
Thought Erasure from Hunter. We see Deafening Clarion, Aurelia, and a 2nd History of Benalia. He's got a choice here, doesn't he? It's the Clarion's probably being left in the hand.
Right.
But Aurelia or 2nd History?
Both of those cards are really punishing. You know, that cast down doesn't do anything about the Aurelia, and it's not that effective against History of Benalia either. There's the one you know that you can cast, but the Aurelia is a little bit higher impact.
Gonna Surveil here. Off the Thought Erasure.
Ends up taking the Aurelia. That makes a fair amount of sense. You can kind of fight through History of Benalia, combining cast downs, Moment of Cravings. A little bit tougher to fight through that legendary creature.
Yeah, and look at this. We see the plus from Karn, Fungal Infection, and Moment of Craving, making a Dano Vanguard look a little embarrassed here.
Yeah, just those main deck Fungal Infections. That is powerful. And if the call is you expect a lot of mono red in the field, Hunter nailed it there.
Draws. History of Benalia has to make a 2nd Knight. Another History in Kyle's hand. Here is an attack. He's going to send all the damage toward Karn. Now we know about Moment of Craving. And that'll take care of the Vanguard. Hunter back up to 21. His Planeswalker will go down to 2. And another History of Benalia and a tap land from Kyle Palmer. That last card is Deafening Clarion. That one is known to Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter wishes he could cast that.
But there's a big attack being lined up here. These Knights, it's a swing for 12. And it looks like Fungal Infection. Hunter will minus Karn to make sure he gets that card.
Gives him a chump blocker on one of the Knights on the big turn. Just play 2 main deck copies. If he had the 2nd one, that would be really beneficial.
And I like this. He's going to make Treasure Map. Kyle's because he has Fungal Infection, Kyle is going to have to overcommit to killing Karn here.
Right. Yeah, Hunter can just produce that blocker out of nowhere.
Right. So in Kyle's spot, what is your thought here? You can send 2 creatures at Karn, 0 creatures at Karn?
Honestly, Karn's not of that much consequence. You get to just chip in for 12 here. Karn just adds card advantage. It takes 2 activations of the Karn to find something you actually care about. It has to plus and then minus, or reveal just 2 cards on the first plus. I don't think that the game is really about Karn from Kyle's perspective.
Here is Aurelia. Can give a creature +2/+0. He'll pick one of those Knight tokens. So he has a Knight attacking for 6, a Knight for 4, a Knight for 4. And we'll see where the attacks go.
Looked like a gesture that they were all just going at Hunter.
Cast down on the pumped Knight. See, maybe, yeah, is that the other 8 coming in? We'll check in a second here. It looks like Hunter's hand is Land, Fungal Infection, Vraska's Contempt.
The Contempt at least answers the Aurelia, though he's under a lot of pressure from these knights. Does he have anything? Yeah, the 4 Thief of Sanities means that he's not really incentivized to play cards like Ritual of Soot, and he does not have any in the main deck.
Fungal Infection, going to -1/-1 a knight, make a 1/1. Looks like he's just going to trade that with the knight then. No, that wouldn't even be a trade. That's a chump block. He shrinks one and chumps the other, then scries with Treasure Map. So I believe taking 3. Yeah, he ends up at 18. And on upkeep, will we scry again? Yes, we will.
Yeah, plenty of mana. Probably just priced into using the Vraska's Contempt this turn.
Yeah, would like to get that Aurelia off the board. Here is Karn, plus of 2 cards. We see Essence Scatter and Notion Rain.
The Notion Rain is a pretty steep cost of life where this game is, and the Essence Scatter covers a lot of what Palmer's deck does. He's already committed to not attacking the Karn.
Yeah. And actually, Kyle gives Hunter Essence Scatter. I think that's the card Hunter wanted.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
One thing I like out of the team of Gebing, Koerbel, and Palmer, none of them are looking to have games last a long time. We see that on Paul Koerbel's side with Elves. He gets that Blitz win game 1 over Kyle Teagan.
Yeah, the fast games are not going the way of the Azorius control deck.
Yeah. Kyle tries to move to combat. Vraska's Contempt is cast. Curious if we're still in the... Contra actually has a decision on timing for this card.
Yeah, you don't want that Aurelia trigger to go on the stack, which it does at the beginning of combat.
However, if you do it in main phase and Kyle has a second Aurelia in hand, then he can cast it.
Right. Though it would just get Essence Scattered. We know about that.
Right. So Hunter makes the play then. He'll take the full hit here, it looks like, off those Knight tokens down to 12.
Here's an upkeep Treasure Map. That's going to transform here. 3 treasure tokens. Let's get some Ryan Overturfs out there.
Yeah. There was a Karn. My token didn't show up. That's not what people are doing with the card right now.
Yeah, not so much the matchup for that.
3 coins. Back over to Hunter. And Doom Whisper looks to be picked up.
That is a good blocker. And he also gets to leave up Essence Scatter by virtue of treasure tokens.
You're right. Okay, that's a ton of extra mana. I like this a lot.
And Treasure Map, it's one of the cards that, based off of the way the games have been played, players that have it in their deck, the way it's performed in the games, I think this card has been underplayed in week 1. I would expect to see more Treasure Maps as we go into the next weeks of the format.
Yeah, especially as a lot of our control decks are looking more like mid-range decks. That's exactly where I want something like Treasure Map. And Aurelia was cast by Kyle, and it's going to get hit by that Essence Scatter. That does bring me back to that Essence Scatter Notion Rain decision.
Yep.
Feels like he got punished by giving away the Scatter.
The Scatter, by my estimation, was quite a bit better than the Rain.
Now Hunter will start bringing those coins from Treasure Cove and turning them into more cards. Looks like he did pick up another Notion Rain. At 8, we'll see if he wants to cast it.
Does need to make sure that his cards are high impact, and even though he gets an extra card or 2 off of the Treasure Cove, you still need to draw something.
Right.
And it's just not enough. He has Doom Whisperer, but it doesn't generate any card advantage. I think it does make sense to cast the Notion Rain here, especially if you can track down another Vraska's Contempt. That insulates you against a lot of things.
Here's the new card, Notion Rain, or as you like to call it, Surveil the Bones.
Oh,
it's Scry 2, make it Surveil 2, draw 2, lose 2.
Saw 2 Doom Whisperers there. Got rid of one, kept the other.
Yeah. Not legendary. You can.
Right.
The Dimir employ many Doom Whisperers. Today they have 2.
Yeah, so now he's got blockers, and with this set of Doom Whisperers, he can close the game in very short order. If he has any kind of removal spell, he can very safely attack with 1 Whisperer this turn, and in the following turn, the combination of the 2 Whisperers are just lethal.
Right, here's a replacement Treasure Map for Hunter. And that's exactly what you mentioned. 1 hit of 6 puts Kyle to 12. Hunter gets to leave up Vraska's Contempt. Not a bad place to be.
He's also set up so he can scry with Treasure Map, If he sees something he doesn't like, put it on the bottom, and then draw a card using the Treasure Cove.
Sixth land from Kyle says go, and he's going to do exactly what you mentioned. Put a counter on Scry off the map. Does he like the card? It looks like he does. How about we draw it? Another Vraska's Contempt. Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, let's see if Kyle has anything about a lethal attack here. We know he's been hanging on to Deafening Clarion for a while. That doesn't do anything.
Swing for 12. Does it work? Yes, it does. Hunter Krot takes a win. And a well-needed win. Both of his teammates dropping game 1, so he'll keep things competitive here and avoids the sweep.
Yeah, I like a lot of what's happening in Krot's deck, and Doom Whisperer, that's another card that I feel like is maybe underplayed in week 1 just because the shell is a little bit difficult to figure out.
You know, I think it's one of those cards that plays a little differently than it may read sometimes. When I first saw the card, there was a lot of hype of, hey, you can dump your whole deck into the graveyard with this. What a crazy mythic. And it turns out you just scribble out that text and it's a 6/6 flyer.
Yeah,
and that's great.
6/6 flying trample for 5 with some really cool flavor text.
Yeah. 2 life's actually just a lot to pay for that effect. It feels a little overcosted.
Yeah, there's a lot of aggressive decks in the format, and yeah, if you want people to play that card, just give it a ton of stats, and that's what people are playing it for.
Yeah. I'm just not sure I want to pay 2 life to slightly improve my draw.
Yeah, in games where you're able to stabilize early, then you end up doing it. But you're right, it's a little bit steep.
Yeah. Before we go to sideboards here, we're talking kind of cards like Doom Whisperer. If you want to get some of the top opinions here on the SCG Tour, especially about Guilds of Ravnica after this open, make sure you're subscribed to the Star City Games newsletter. You get highlights from our best articles, and you got to figure next week a lot of them are going to be about Guilds of Ravnica Standard.
Yep, a lot of opinions have been pouring in, early perceptions of the set. Now that we have some tournament results coming in, both the Team Open here, the Standard Classic firing off today. Get to see a lot more results. Magic Online leagues pouring in as well.
Yeah, so get some analysis on that and so much more right to your mailbox, your email box, starcitygames.com/newsletter. Now for sideboarding between these 2 decks, I want to start on Kyle Palmer's side. His cheap creatures didn't survive at all. And the removal, especially even Adano Vanguard, lines up wrong.
Yeah, getting Moment of Craving on your Vanguard's a really big feel-bad.
Yeah, or even Fungal Infection.
Yeah.
So given that, Kyle has, let's look at his sideboard. 4 Seal Away, 3 Banefire, 3 Settle the Wreckage, 2 Spyglass, a Deafening Clarion, a Shalai, and an Ixalan's Binding. I don't know that I like much here for this matchup.
Yeah, it's not a ton. The Shalai will block 3 other creatures. That one's fine. The Ixalan Binding, I think, is actually pretty good. Krot presents some relatively high-power permanents. The Doom Whisperers specifically, tagging those with the Binding is a big deal. I wouldn't even mind hitting a treasure map, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, last time we saw a Boros deck, there was a lot of large planeswalkers, bigger things in the sideboard. This is a bit different.
Yeah, I do like the Banefire as well enough in this matchup. Just a nice way to close the game after you get in these early shoves with the History of Benalias, what have you. And the cards he's looking to board out, you mentioned that the Vanguards weren't very good, but how about the Deafening Clarions? That one's just a non-starter in the matchup. Yeah,
we may be priced into keeping the Vanguards.
Right.
Banefire's okay because the Sultai deck is kind of mid-range. I don't know if I expect it to go too much higher than 4 or 5. That's a kind of card. A 3 of Banefire, if you're expecting Teferi decks, is really scary.
Right.
Against this deck, it's medium scary.
Yeah, I think this is a Banefire to Taste matchup, where they're all good against Teferi, and you just decide how many cards you want to bring out for Banefires in this matchup.
On Hunter Krot's side, he's got a lot of cards that you'd figure would be good against a control deck too. 4 Negate, 2 Duress. Other cards, though, Disdainful Stroke, Vona's Hunger, Cast Down. Those are additional copies. A Ravenous Chupacabra, that would be his 3rd. He has a 3rd Essence Scatter and a 3rd Moment of Craving.
Yeah, so the Ravenous Chupacabra seems excellent. It answers most of what's going on the other side of the table, and his cast downs don't line up against a lot of what Palmer is doing. I like the extra Moment of Craving a decent amount. You saw Danto Vanguards. It helps you buy some time against History of Benalia, which matters. You're going to want some number of these counter spells. You know, there's some 4 and 5 mana creatures showing up. The strokes are fine. There's a small argument for 1 or 2 negates just because History is so effective as well.
Yeah, a ton of removal in Hunter's sideboard. What's interesting, though, he has no sweepers. At any, I mean, unless you want to count Vona's Hunger with the City's Blessing as a sweeper, this is all spot removal. I guess he has 3 Notion Rains in the main, so he has some sweeper there, but otherwise it's just lots of spot removal.
Notion Rain's the draw spell. He doesn't have.
Oh, you're right.
Soot.
Not Ritual Soot. Yeah, there are no sweepers.
Yeah.
He's gonna just 2 for spot removal his opponents to death.
Yeah, he's decided that he wants to be on Thief of Sanity instead of that, and he's having a good tournament. So.
And he needs to have one. His teammates are having a rough go of it. The Modern match has finished. Paul Koerbel on Elves, a 2-0 winner. Hunter's going to do what he can here in Game 2, but he needs Christopher Walton to come through as well. Yeah, that is the draw spell. So
Krot does not look thrilled about his opener here.
No. And how do you feel about this? So to not play a sweeper, it's going to really cement your mid-range status. Cards like main deck Thief of Sanity are going to play well in a lot of these mid-ranging mirrors. I feel like you're going to, certainly we've seen it with the Celestia tokens deck being so popular. I feel like Hunter pays a price for not playing this card.
The thing that I like about the configuration is that week 1 of a new format, you get some points just by being proactive.
Right.
If you put the wrong answers, let's say that you put in Ritual of Soot and everybody else is playing mid-range.
Yeah, that's not good.
And you're just really punished for having the wrong kind of card there. He's making some concessions, the fungal infection, that sort of thing, though mostly cards are specifically good against the red deck, which I think that one was a no-brainer. Red was going to show up. You've played any games with a matchup or looked at Magic Online results. Like, the 9 copies in Day 2 is not terribly surprising. The Celestia Tokens deck, it wasn't clear how represented that deck was going to be.
And you're right. Post-board, the fact that you can have... He has 7 additional removal spells in his board, and I think like 10 in the main. He can make his deck almost entirely draw spells and removal.
Right. The Thief of Sanity also in matchups like the Celestia Tokens deck that only play Conclave Tribunal as removal, that'll set you up. So with the answer to the Thief, that means your Doom Whisperer is good. And that card closes so quickly.
Looks like a mulligan for Hunter.
Yeah. Some kind of conversation happening there. I believe Krot kept on 6, though.
All right, and here we go for game number 2. Looks like Hunter Krot's hand is a stack of lands and 2 Ravenous Chupacabras, which I like a lot in this matchup.
Yes. Knight of Grace for
yeah,
Kyle Palmer. That's pretty good against Krot's deck.
Yeah, I was going to say, of all the 2-drops, that one is... Yeah, you see Hunter with Essence Scatter in his hand, but he was on the draw. His hand is some Chupacabras, Vraska's Contempts. This is pretty big deal, and now Kyle makes History of Benalia. Hunter has all the wrong answers here.
What's that card called? What of Grace?
Yeah.
Oh, Knight of Grace.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Pretty good curve.
That is... And a land pass. Hunter could have thought Erasured here, but instead he elects to leave up Essence Scatter.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a really real chance that Kyle has 2 things that matter. And being able to Essence Scatter Aurelia is about the best outcome for this turn for him.
And that's exactly what he's going to get to do. Here's Aurelia from Kyle. Hunter is rewarded for waiting, but it's still a swing for 4. Hunter down to 14. And Ryan, Kyle's hand is 2 Banefires.
Yikes.
If
there is so much damage coming across the table next turn.
Here is a Chupacabra. Of course, hexproof from black, so target is a pretty easy choice.
This also pumps the Knight of Grace, which now has base 3 power, so a big attack for Palmer on this turn.
Drew another Knight of Grace.
Not bad.
Here's a swing for 8. Hunter's going to chump block. He'll go to 10.
And Krot's plan against Knight of Grace is largely to get to the point where he can block it with Doom Whisperer.
Shalai from Kyle. And Hunter will actually be rewarded for this play as he has another Chupacabra.
Yep.
Actually, the scariest play would have been if Kyle had gone for Knight of Grace. But, so, Shalai gets eaten. We go back over to Kyle.
Yeah, this one's more mana efficient. I guess the match is over, though.
Yeah, and Justin Mono-Red Prison taking it 2-0. Hunter was barely staying afloat. I don't even know that it matters.
Yeah, there were some awkward elements to the way that Krot's deck was configured for the matchup. I would like to have seen at least 1 or 2 sweepers in the 75. Not necessarily Ritualist Soot, but at least Golden Demise.
Yeah, I mean, especially just looking at his list, Knight of Grace doesn't get better.
Yeah, specifically Knight of Grace, History of Banality.